we're talking about Despicable Me 4. It's the fourth movie in the franchise, as the number implies. Actually, it's the fourth movie in the mainline franchise. It's the sixth overall movie
Yeah.
because they've done two Minion films. So Bridget, you saw this. I watched. Oh, didn't have a chance to watch the whole movie myself, but you watched the whole movie, and I'm wondering not only what your thoughts are about the film, but also it's like, does this movie kind of feel repetitive at this point? Like, it seems like there isn't a ton of ground left to explore. Like, because the parts that I watched seemed like they were just redoing a lot of the same gags. But what are your thoughts about the film?
Yeah, I mean, I think you pretty much guessed it. Kind of expected going into it as well that probably wasn't going to be great. I was kind of hoping there's like a slight chance it could be like a really great, funny plot, but then I remembered it's Despicable Me. And personally, I've never really liked any of the movies. I actually took my younger sister to the theaters to watch this because she likes the franchise, but I don't know how. I don't know, I just don't like Gru. I don't like any of it. I don't even like the Minions, and they just drive me crazy to watch. I mean, I get it. I feel like if you're a little kid, this would be really fun, but I feel like anyone older than 5, I just don't see the appeal personally. And so, yeah, this storyline and everything wasn't that creative, not that much different than any of the other movies. I think I've only actually seen the first two. Haven't seen any Minions movies, but yeah, it's just it is not something I would like to watch. Even as a parent, I don't think I'd love to watch this. If I had to go to the theater and watch it, I would feel like it's just a big waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a movie that, again, I have not seen the whole film, so I will, kind of say that up front. But the amount of the part that I did get to see, it's sort of like this franchise is settled into a nice groove at this point where they're just, sort of doing their thing. But it doesn't feel like, even though they try to reinvent the franchise in some ways, like, there's a gag where 4 of the Minions kind of become superheroes almost, but it's one of those things where you start to wonder, like, because they had spun off the Minions into their own franchise, like, how do you find the balance? It's also the fact that they keep adding new characters with each new movie. So eventually, I think this is the first Despicable Me movie where I felt like the movie was a bit crowded. Like, there were too many characters.
I think you're right. It's like, because there's, all of like the people from the first one that then I feel like when there's like a return of that villain, it's a little bit more continuous. But when there's always like a new guy, it's like, will this ever end? And like, I don't know, personally for me, like, I loved the Shrek movies. Those were like my bread and butter growing up. And I think there's only 4 of those. So I don't know. I'm like, wow, how are we already at 4 Despicable Me? It's like, I feel like the first wasn't even that good to get so many sequels. Shrek, I mean, the first 2, I think are perfection. So I'm like, I'm more forgiving of the 3rd and the 4th, but I just don't know how we've gotten this far. And I really hope there won't be a 5th.
And a lot of the reviews are kind of sort of mirroring what you say. Like, a lot of the critic reviews are just like, look, it's heartwarming, it's cute, it's the same thing over again. We love Steve Carrell, but like, why? And then there's like some harsher critic reviews that are essentially along the lines of like, even though it has a pretty decent Rotten Tomatoes and critic score in the 80s, so I feel like that's a little surprising for a 4th movie. But a lot of people are just like,
actually, I don't know. The critic score is in 52%. It's the lowest of the whole franchise.
What am I looking at then?
I don't know if you're looking.
No, I looked at the first one.
Yeah, well, the first one was universally acclaimed and beloved, but this one, the critic score is sitting at 52%, and the audience score is sitting at 90%. Now, obviously, the 90% audience score
are all little kids.
Is a big deal, right? But 52% is, I think, off by 4 percentage points from the previous low, which I think was the first Minions movie had like a 56% score. So when you look at the critic consensus, it says it's fast-paced, teeming with slapstick gags, Despicable Me is as overstuffed as a piñata, but full of enough candy to give audiences an enjoyable sugar rush. That's very middling at best. So, I mean, look,
Despicable
ultimately,
Me
though,
is the latest messily passable iteration of the deliriously successful franchise. I was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
this is a franchise that has averaged up until this point almost $1 billion per movie, to the point where I think when we talked about like the last time we talked about it on the show, looking ahead, we looked at the numbers, and I believe the number we came up with was like the previous 5 movies combined had come in at a total of like 4.5 odd billion dollars, basically $5 billion, and each movie over the course of the last 4 or 5 of them, I think, except for the first one or maybe the first 2, every movie since has made like $1 billion at the box office, and we're currently sitting at a time where Inside Out 2 has gone on to make over $1 billion in record time. And this movie has gone off to a really good start at 4th of July weekend as well. In fact, we have a video here that sort of covers not only just the critics' reaction, but a little bit of the success of this movie. So let's take a quick look at that, and then on the other side, we'll discuss a little bit about the box office success of the movie, despite the fact that the critics don't seem to be liking the movie all that much.
You guys seen Despicable Me? Yes. Kids loved it. Together, these guys just dominated the box office. That's right. The Mega Minions crushed the holiday weekend at the movies, coming in at #1. You.
Oh là là. Look up.
So as you can see there, the movie has gone off to one hell of a start. I think, Angelina, when you look at the domestic box office, this movie has started off to I think over $120 million over the course of the 5 days from Wednesday, July 4th, all the way to the weekend, which allowed it to kick Inside Out to off the top of the box office for the weekend. But when you look at the global numbers, it's coming in at like 230 million. So it almost doubled this domestic number abroad, and coming in for almost $250 million just in its opening 5 or 6 days. So do you think this movie has a chance to, like its predecessors, make $1 billion at the box office?
No, especially not with reviews like this so quickly. I think this is the initial hype, right? But coming off of Inside Out 2, so many parents are going to be like, oh, I don't know if my kid's going to like this. I feel like only parents, well, no, it's definitely not going to hit $1 billion. That's my thought process. But could it possibly hit 5, 6, 7, just based off of kids begging their parents to take them again, it being summertime? Looking ahead, we don't have a whole lot more cartoon sort of movies for children coming out in the next few weeks. So this might be a great option for kids over the next month or two with summer.
Yeah, I mean, and it's already off to a great start. So from a financial standpoint, I mean, as long as people are going back to see it, hopefully will do well enough for itself. I mean, even if it gets past 500 million, I think it will be probably more than profitable. But Bridget, to kind of like wrap this review up, I wanted to come back to you because you went and saw the movie. Of all the new things that they have done with this film, like the Tribe, whether it's spoofing superheroes, Gentle Minions, which is like in the first act of the movie, there were some really cool cameos in the film, which I did enjoy. Do you think this is a movie that's gonna keep the franchise going, like the hot streak that it was on? And is this a movie that you would recommend to somebody go watch in a movie theater, or would you rather just skip it and check it out when it comes out on Peacock?
Yeah, definitely. If like you really do want to see it, I would wait, save your dollars. And honestly, just because it's not that different really than the first couple, you could just watch the first 2 again. Honestly, it's you're not missing that much, I don't think. Definitely wait. If you want to, wait till it's out on Peacock and then save some bucks.
That's fair. I mean, hey, look, I'm a big fan of the franchise. I like that they brought Will Ferrell into this. So I'm gonna want to go watch the rest of the movie that I haven't seen. But at the end of the day, going off of your recommendation, it looks like if you guys are out there, you may want to tread lightly unless this is like a family fare thing, you've got kids, you want to go out and watch this, and you've already seen Inside Out 2, then this might be worth checking out. So let us know in the comments below what you think about it. Get into the live chat and let us know there what you think about the movie, if you have seen it already, or if you haven't seen it. Did Bridget's review get you more excited or less excited about the film itself? There's also, of course, the like button. Do hit that, because we do enjoy your likes and dislikes. If you hated this review, then you can also just hit the dislike button. We just love the interaction.